The next skill we'll be looking at in order to strengthen our resiliency is building a positive mental framework. Our mental framework is how we look at and approach different things, how we interpret the experiences we have, and the things that we tell ourselves about us, others, and what's happening in our lives. The way that we approach and interpret what is happening around us can make a big impact on our thoughts, feelings, and overall well-being. When we have a more positive mental framework, we tend to be happier, less stressed, and more resilient individuals because it helps us balance out our thinking. What do you see in this picture? Some people see a figure playing a saxophone, others see a female face, and some can flip between both. The saxophone player is in the black space, and the female face uses the white space. This image is a good representation of our mindset. Our mindset represents how we look at the world, ourselves, and others. People who have a similar experience can walk away from it with very different ideas, emotions, and thoughts based on how they uniquely interpreted the event. Just like this picture, some of you first saw the face, others saw the musician, others struggled to see both or either one. Having a balanced, flexible, and positive mindset is one of the most powerful factors of resiliency. Individuals who are able to see different perspectives or sides of a situation are more likely to persist or show grit when faced with challenging situations. These effects are even stronger if there are elements of optimism in at least one of the perspectives. How we perceive things shapes our reality. If we're not able to be flexible in our perceptions, for example, seeing both the musician and the face, we can get stuck in our immediate reality, which makes it hard to be an effective problem solver. Today we're going to talk about and practice a way to gain a flexible mindset that can increase our self-compassion and improve our coping and problem-solving abilities, both key elements to resilience and success. Flexible thinking helps us to have compassion and understanding for ourselves and others, which has been shown to improve mental health as well as make people more effective problem solvers. Like I mentioned before, our mindset is how we look at the world around us, how we look at ourselves, and how we look at others. Someone who experienced the same event or situation as you may walk away with a completely different interpretation of it, which means they feel differently about the experience. Our unique perspectives and the way we interpret the things that happen to us directly impacts our emotions, stress levels, and problem-solving abilities. We have the power to control the kind of mindset we hold, and we can alter the way that we interpret information that is presented to us, allowing us to have more control over our emotions, reactions, behaviors, and stress levels. Just like the example picture of the woman or man playing the saxophone, what you focus on is what you see. The interpretation, what you're choosing to see and focus on, then impacts your emotions, behaviors, and overall perception of the situation. Taking a moment to see other interpretations and find a balance between different interpretations can help us cope and problem solve, especially during difficult times. This video helps to illustrate how our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are all related. More specifically, the mindset that we have has an impact on our emotions and subsequent behaviors. As you watch, pay attention to how changing the main thought can impact the feelings and behaviors.
The ways in which we think, feel, and behave are all linked. It's helpful to understand how each influences the other. For example, when I think that I can't rely on my partner for support, I might behave in ways that push my partner away and stop them from offering support. With the result that my feelings are affected, I feel unsupported, angry, and probably lonely. These feelings then influence my thoughts. I think I can't rely on my partner, and so I continue to behave in ways that stop my partner from supporting me. And so the circle rolls on, and I become more and more fed up with my relationship, more critical of my partner's attempts to help me, and increasingly hopeless about anything changing. But the good news is that because thoughts, feelings, and behavior are linked, if I want things to change, I can enter that circle at any point, and any change I make is likely to start a series of changes. So if I change my behavior by letting my partner help me, I'm likely to feel more supported, and that my needs are being noticed. and this in turn will influence my thoughts. I'm more likely to think that my partner respects me and cares for me. As the circle rolls on, my changed behaviour will show my partner that I'm turning towards them rather than away, and they'll feel needed by me and think that we're getting on better.
The things that we focus on and pay attention to have a direct impact on our thoughts and feelings. Shifting from a negative mindset to a more balanced one involves looking at other perspectives and interpreting things in different ways. And our thoughts are changeable. In fact, changing our thoughts is easier than changing emotions or behaviors. And if we change our thoughts, our emotions and behaviors sometimes change too. So by paying attention to our thoughts and how we interpret things can make a huge difference in our well-being. We can teach ourselves to have a positive and balanced mindset. Our own thoughts can sometimes be our worst enemies. They can actually increase anxiety, sadness, anger, frustrations, etc., and therefore increase our stress. But knowing how to shift your mindset away from the extreme negative, stressful thoughts to more balanced thoughts can help get yourself through difficult times. You want to challenge your negative and unproductive thoughts, especially the more extreme ones that seem to be fueling the anxiety, despair, frustration, and stress. First, try to catch and stop those thoughts before they snowball. What you think about yourself or your situation can become your reality. Try to catch those negative thoughts as they happen or as they start so you can check them for balance right away. One way to catch the thoughts is when you're experiencing a strong emotion, pause and try to focus on the words you're telling yourself or what you're saying to yourself about the situation. Jot those thoughts down if it helps you to catch them and be able to check whether they are being helpful or hurtful to you. The second step is to challenge and investigate your thinking. Ask yourself, how do I know those thoughts are true? Because more than likely they're not, and it's just you being hard on yourself, or maybe you're having unrealistic expectations or hoping to influence something that's really out of your control. Or it's the stress making your thoughts even more extreme towards the negative. Think, what other possible interpretations exist? Or how might someone else see or think about this situation? Or what's another way to think about this? Or would I let another person talk to me this way? Investigate your thoughts and challenge their credibility because a lot of the time when we're feeling stressed or strong negative emotions, it's because our thoughts are extreme and negative. They're ignoring other information that can balance them out. For example, being all or nothing. Challenging the extreme aspects of our thoughts and bringing them into balance can reduce our stress. Lastly, try to transform your negative or extreme thoughts and shift your mindset to a more balanced or even a positive one. This is easier said than done, and it takes practice. Also know that we're not saying to shift to an unrealistic positive view, as we know bad things do happen and things can be unfair and feel overwhelming. We just want to suggest being balanced in how you think about things. So transform the extreme thoughts to be more productive and resilient thoughts. Give yourself credit for what you have accomplished and where you are, and know that you can get through this stressful or challenging time. Honor the challenges and difficulties while also honoring that you can do what is needed. Offer yourself encouragement instead of harsh criticism. The physical and mental benefits that you can receive by thinking in a more balanced and positive way are powerful and have been demonstrated through research. Having a positive mindset improves confidence by improving the way we talk to ourselves. For example, saying, "This is hard for me and I'm doing the best I can," versus saying, "I'm no good at this." A balanced mindset also increases self-esteem and overall mood. It helps you so that even on hard days, they don't seem as bad and you're still more compassionate towards yourself and others. It protects against feelings of depression and is also associated with higher motivation levels, even on the days when you are less motivated. And on a physiological level, having an overall positive mindset decreases your chance of developing hypertension and other stress-related disorders, which keeps you healthier. When you're healthier, it's easier to manage stress and also maintain a balanced mindset. It's a positive cycle of resilience. Now that you know some of the powerful effects of having a positive mental framework, you may be wondering how you can start to shift your mindset. Thinking positively may sound cliche or ambiguous, and when you're faced with a struggle or setback, it can be really hard to just be positive. This is where resilience comes into play, and there are steps you can take to start to train your brain to have a more optimistic mindset. Ultimately, you're aiming for having a balanced perspective on things and training your brain to notice more of the positive, as well as to see things in different ways so you don't get sucked into the negative as easily, deeply, or strongly. This may seem more difficult, especially when you're going through a rough time, but it's important to be able to look at things through a different lens. Sometimes, when you face a setback, it might be best to stop for a second and try to look at things from a different perspective. For example, you may think to yourself, will this matter to me in a week? How about a month? A year? Or is there a different way to approach this? Other things I can do to make a dent in the difficulty? Would someone else see this in another way that I'm missing? Pausing to ask yourself these questions can help with transforming the destructive thoughts into more productive, resilience-focused, and balanced thinking. Changing your perspective on a struggling time or setback may also mean looking at the big picture. While this might not always be easy, it can be really helpful for your future self. Think to yourself, what did this teach me? What lesson did I learn? What can I change to ensure that this doesn't happen in the future? Or if it does happen again, what do I know now that will help me cope better next time? Being able to create a benefit from a tough experience has huge rewards and helps to build up one's grit as well. Now, use what I said before and challenge yourself to see an optimistic side of the situation. Try to find the good, because there's always something good or some small thing we can learn from a situation, even if it's simply, well, at least it wasn't any worse. That's a start at least. It might not always be obvious, but there is always something positive that you can take out of a situation. Use your resilience and train your brain so that you can eventually do this optimistic kind of thinking automatically. At first, you may want to sulk because of a situation or event. That's normal, and we don't want to ignore or squash our emotions, but we also don't want to get stuck. As we try to think more optimistically or with balance, we increase the belief that we can get through things. Try to focus on solutions to the problem rather than the problem itself, and use your problem-solving skills to figure out what you can do to get yourself through this. Training your brain and shifting your mindset to be positive might seem like a daunting task or like a lot of cognitive effort. But there are practices that you can take part in each day that will also help you shift to this kind of mindset more naturally. Something you can do each day to create an overall more positive mindset is to set the tone for your day with positive affirmations, meditation, or just sayings, even an inspirational quote. There are free apps you can download that will send you an inspirational or encouraging quote each day. Try it out. To do it yourself, we suggest you look in the mirror and just say something positive to yourself. Notice something about yourself that you like, admire, or are proud of. It can really be that simple. You can say, today is going to be a good day, or I'm going to feel happy today, or nice shirt choice. It may feel silly at first, but the more you practice it, the more naturally these positive affirmations will come. We all have those days where we wake up late or spill coffee on our shirt before even leaving the house. Sometimes we think that because we had a bad morning that we have to have a bad day. We might think, well, this isn't going to be my day. And then those negative feelings carry over into everything we do that day. Instead, try taking a breath and telling yourself, okay, this day didn't start out well, but I can change it around to still make it good. By beginning each day with positive affirmations, you can bring positive thoughts and feelings into everything you do that day. Know that you can always shift your mindset throughout the day as well. Transform negative self-talk into a more balanced, positive self-talk. As you face challenges throughout the day, it can be easy to say something negative about yourself like, I can't do this, or I'm not good enough. Engaging in negative self-talk is something we're all guilty of from time to time. But having thoughts like these can have a significant impact on your well-being and can make an already difficult situation or event even worse. These thoughts affect the way you feel and can alter your self-concept. So stop and take a moment to replace any negative messages with something more realistic, balanced, or positive. Instead of, "I can't do this," say, "I know I can get this done, just small steps." And instead of, "I'm not good enough," tell yourself that you are good enough. Or if you don't feel quite that, focus on just being enough. We are who we are, and we all matter. Acknowledging that you matter and have value is critical to your health and resilience. Giving yourself positive messages such as these can improve your performance as well as your well-being and help you get through those hard times. To end things, here is another video that discusses the importance of how we look at ourselves and the world around us, and that what we focus on in our interpretations becomes our reality.
When you feel emotionally powerful, in other words, the more often and more deeply you feel happy, joy, and satisfaction, the more you increase your chances of performing at your very best, no matter what you're attempting to do. Positive emotions is the energy of champions. It's behind everything that champions accomplish. So here's a great old story that explains how to experience more positive emotions in your life. An old Cherokee chief was teaching his grandson about life. "A fight is going on inside of me," he said to the boy. "It's a terrible fight, and it's between two wolves. One is evil. He is anger, envy, sorrow, regret, greed, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, self-doubt, and jealousy. The other is good. He is joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, generosity, truth, compassion, and faith. This same fight is going on inside of you and inside every other person too." The grandson thought about it for a minute, and then he asked his grandfather, "Which wolf will win?" The old chief simply replied, "The one you feed." The moral of the story is that you have a choice, a daily choice, of which emotions you feed and which emotions you starve. And the emotions you choose to feed will either fuel you to do amazing things, or they're going to drain you of your potential. How do you feed emotions? Well, by what you say, read, watch, and who you associate with. When you do any of these things, you feel an emotion, such as anger, sorrow, regret, or happiness, joy, and hope. Now, it may be a subtle feeling, or it could be a strong feeling. Either way, these activities trigger you feeling and experiencing an emotion of some kind. And when you feel an emotion, you feed it. And when you feed it, you make it stronger. And when you make it stronger, it grows to have a greater influence on your perception of life, your decisions and reactions, and your overall experience in life. At the same time, you starve emotions, both good and bad, when you choose not to connect with them on a regular basis. And here's an important truth to understand about how this works. You can't feed negative emotions on a regular basis by complaining or flooding your mind with negative news and entertainment or hanging out with negative people, and then wonder why you always feel stressed, why you always feel unhappy, why you always feel depressed. You're feeding those negative emotions. You're keeping them strong, and they're consistently defeating the positive emotions inside of you. So spend a few minutes right now to think about and analyze what you feed your mind and your emotions on a regular basis. What you say, what you read, what you watch, who you associate with. You want to eliminate sources of negativity. This is an absolute must because they drain you of the energy that you need in order to reach your highest potential. Next, choose a positive emotion that you want to experience more in your life, such as happiness, joy, or gratitude, and write it down somewhere you can see it regularly. And then focus on talking and reading and watching and associating with people that feed that emotion on a regular basis. Win the war inside of you.
Our hope is that this video reinforced the skill we wanted you to get from this training, that your mindset matters, and we can help create the mindset we want, strengthening our resilience. Okay, we talked a lot about how shifting our mindset affects our moods, behaviors, and well-being, and giving ourselves positive self-talk or affirmations each day can also help. Your resilience building challenge for this module is to practice both of those skills. Over the next week or more, we want you to pick at least one situation that caused stress, that you feel bad about, a bad day, anything that led to a challenging or negative situation for you. Identify one of the extreme or negative thoughts that was fueling your mood, challenge it by taking a different perspective or checking it for extremes, replace it with a more balanced or resilience-themed thought, and notice how that new thought might impact your mood, even a little. We will ask you to reflect on what it was like to replace negative thinking with balanced thinking. Secondly, we want you to practice a positive affirmation each day for a week. How did that end up impacting your mood for the day? You will put these reflections into the web quiz for this module. And thanks for all the feedback you've shared. We're working hard to incorporate a lot of it into future webinars and to go back and edit the other ones.